Today, we're diving into a popular post from the Reddit titled as, "Evil Stepfather Gets What He Deserves." This post received 26,740 upvotes. Posted by Kveldson. The post reads as follows. TLDR at the bottom. I made a comment on another post. Got way more upvotes and comments than expected. And you, Alex28-3 and you, Drake1 suggested I tell a more in-depth version of the story here. When I was 15, my mom started dating a man she met on a dating website. I didn't like him the first time I met him, and 2 months later he moved into the house. About 3 weeks after he moved in, he took my skateboards, self-built halfpipe, ramps, BMX bike, ice hockey gear, and many other things to the dump one day while I was at school. He said he did this because he didn't want all of my crap cluttering up his garage. Maybe 2 months later he punched me in the stomach for the first time because I got up from the dinner table without asking to be excused. From there it escalated into full-fledged beatdowns for the smallest perceived slight to his authority. One day he decided to take my extensive Pokemon card collection, even more extensive comic book collection, my Game Boy and PS2 with all the assorted games, and my fantasy and sci-fi book collection, and got rid of it all because 15-year-old boys should be playing football and baseball, not being a FAOT nerd playing with Pokemon cards and reading comics and books. I would like to add that he was a middle school teacher, and in his off time refereed and umpired local middle and high school sports games. My mom never intervened, and in fact acquiesced when he demanded that she stop giving me lunch money, because the little shit will just spend it on comics and other gay shit. One day, I took maybe $3 and change out of his change jar so that I could buy a slice of pizza and some fruit punch during lunch at school, because I was tired of being hungry. My twin sister was always a bit of an asshole, and frequently blackmailed me into doing her chores from a young age. I was fed up and refused to do something, so she told him what I had done. This man actually called the police and pressed a larceny charge against me, and once the police had left, proceeded to beat me senseless. At that point I ran away. When the cops found me and returned me to my home, I found out that he had been trying to talk my mom into sending me away to military school or something of that nature. I ran away again, and between having run away several times and the larceny charge ended up turning 16 in juvenile detention. I spent the next couple years miserable and afraid, frequently contemplating suicide. Once I was out on my own, I didn't speak to my mom for several years. We eventually reconciled, and by that point they had married. I was a lot bigger than I had been as a young teenager, and had gotten into weightlifting, so he no longer acted like he was going to punch me to make me flinch, much less actually hit me, and we basically avoided each other for the most part. My mother found out that she had stage 4 cancer, and no longer wanted to waste any of the time she had left with him, so she had a lawyer draft up a separation agreement whereby he would receive a set amount of money upon separation, and would have 45 days to retrieve his belongings from the house. He had spent his entire inheritance in 6 months and then had to sell his mother's house that he grew up in order to settle his debts shortly before they started dating, and my mother bought the house back from the bank before they married. She allowed him to keep the house and he moved back into his mother's house. My mother passed away about 9 months after their separation, and despite the agreement had been allowing him to come and get his stuff piecemeal. I put an immediate end to that. He was past the deadline to remove his personal effects, and they were now legally mine to dispose of as I saw fit. I sold his baseball card collection, around $14,000, and his autographed sports memorabilia, roughly $11,000, and also sold all of his woodworking equipment, along with several finished pieces of furniture that he had made, $6,500 I think. I kept his mother's engagement ring, platinum band 3 diamonds roughly 2 carats, wedding band, his coin collection. I also collect coins, and some tools and other odds and ends. Now comes the real fun. Around a month ago I finally saw him at the grocery store. As he was leaving I approached him. I told him I had sold his collections as he was pushing his cart out towards his car. He reacted exactly as I expected. He took a swing at me multiple times. I already had my phone ready to dial 911. Several of these punches missed and the ones that did connect didn't have much effect because he's nowhere near as strong as he was 20 years ago in his 40s, and I no longer a skinny little 15-year-old. He continued to try to punch me as I spoke to the 911 operator, and was actively ramming his grocery cart into my new Toyota as the police officers pulled into the parking lot. He was arrested for assault, communicating threats, and destruction of property. As a result, he lost his job and pension at the local middle school, and because he had never learned how to save money while married to my somewhat wealthy mother, ended up having to sell his mother's house because he hired an expensive lawyer thinking he could somehow beat the charges. My nephew, who was on the football team, made it well known to his friends that he not only had just been arrested and convicted of assault as well as other charges, but that he had also beat me as a child, causing several parents to call for him to resign from refereeing and umpiring for local sports games. My niece, and my girlfriend's much younger sister, are enrolled at the middle school where he worked, and say that he was not only universally disliked, but when he came up to the school to get his belongings, he made a big scene and ended up hysterically crying as he was leaving. At least that's what they've heard from the kids who were attending summer school at the time. His son, who he was equally abusive towards as a child, refused to take him in or help him out, so the abusive stepfather ended up having to take a job as a cashier at Walmart so that he could afford the rent on his crappy little trailer in an absolutely awful neighborhood. Even though that Walmart is not the closest Walmart to my house, that is now the only place where I go grocery shopping or to purchase anything that I need. I purposely stand in line longer than I need to just so that he can be the one who has the pleasure of ringing up my purchases. The first time I went through his line, he attempted to ring up multiple items more than one time to overcharge me, and when I called him on it, he said that I was mistaken. I asked for a manager, and the manager believed him that it was an accident, but he learned that he can't get away with that. The second time, I made sure to be as nice as possible and had to ask for a manager because he was overwhelmingly rude. The people in line behind me backed me up and he got in some trouble for that. Every time I go there and step into line, I see him die a little bit inside, and it gives me such satisfaction. Sometimes I'll say that I'm paying with exact change, and as I'm about to hand him the money I'll say, "Oh, I didn't realize I had rare coin from his collection in my pocket. I guess I'll use my credit card. I just sold his expensive ratcheting wrench set, and so on Monday when he works again I'm going to go buy my daughter one of their better above-ground pools, and as he's ringing it out tell him, I know that, daughter, is just going to love this pool. It's not like I would have ever used those expensive ratcheting wrenches anyway, TLDR. Asshole stepfather got rid of all of my prized possessions as a child and beat the crap out of me regularly. I ended up getting all of his prized possessions and selling most of them, and when I told him, he tried to assault me in public, which resulted in criminal charges, losing his job, and his house. Now I get to see him all the time and rub his nose in it. Edit. For clarity and a couple of typos. A comment from user Arctic Technician says, "Eye for an eye, man, you took his fucking organs." This comment received 1140 upvotes. A comment from user spoof_code_17 says, "Tit for tat fam, tit for tat." This comment received 5277 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Amen." This reply received 1508 upvotes. A comment from user Eat It and Yeet It says, "Holy shit. Karma is a bitch, ha 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 ha." This comment received 1916 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "It sure is." This reply received 488 upvotes. A comment from user ZF420 says, "That was a long one but absolutely worth the read. 10 out of 10, well done mate." This comment received 1832 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Thank you. I was honestly shocked by all the upvotes and an award on the shorter version. I'm glad I can share this with people and hopefully make the people who never got a chance to see their abuser get what they deserve feel a little bit better about the world." I spent several years being very pessimistic and bitter and mildly misanthropic because it just made me so angry that people like him do what they do and get away with it. If this post reaches 1,000 upvotes, I'm going to email a link to the post to him LMAO. This reply received 728 upvotes. A comment from user Charsesroar says, "Too bad the mother only decided it was worth breaking up with him when her own time was in jeopardy, and not her child's." This comment received 961 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "She was a deeply flawed person, to be frank. She had a lot of issues and wasn't a good mother until I was in my early 20s when she contacted me to apologize for everything. My older sister left when she was 16 because my mom just didn't know how to raise children." This reply received 639 upvotes. A comment from user Draked1 says, "Yes. Thank you for writing this up and giving me credit lol. This is even better than the original post, but damn, I can't believe the trolls in this post though." This comment received 628 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Hey everybody. This is one of the people who suggested I post this here, so everybody who liked my post should upvote, and if you can afford it, go ahead and gild them as well. I'll start him off with a gold. Well, it was your idea, so I figured I'd give credit where credit is due. What can I say though, trolls are going to troll. They don't bother me at all, so they aren't getting what they want out of me. Edit. A word." This reply received 225 upvotes. A comment from user Hardstuck Retard says, "Wait, so he throws out your Pokemon cards and comic books because they're FA***** OT nerd shit, but he collections coins and baseball cards. Pot to kettle? Hello?" This comment received 93 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Right?" This reply received 33 upvotes. A comment from user Kveldson says, "WTF, why is it saying removed, no felonies? There were no felonies involved?" This comment received 80 upvotes. A reply from user Cherum says, "That is so lame, I literally just tried to show someone and now it's removed?" This reply received 12 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "IDK, it says it violated Rule 6, no felonies, but I didn't post any felonies?" This reply received 10 upvotes. A comment from user CAD3 and the save says, "LMAO. That's amazing." This comment received 273 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Ha ha ha, thank you. It sure feels amazing." This reply received 141 upvotes. A comment from user Jimbo as Cronus says, "Biggest no you ever." This comment received 72 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "LMAO, you made me spray my protein shake all over my kitchen counter and I'm not even mad." This reply received 25 upvotes. A comment from user Eyeball Beasting says, "I usually read these things just generally rooting for op. This one had me clenching then cheering. I know the type of guy very well. They have no fucking control over their own lives and so take it out on the weak, mostly teenage boys so that they get some satisfaction that they are feared. This guy deserves everything he got, keep taunting him. He caused you enough grief to deserve this for the rest of his miserable life." This comment received 129 upvotes. A comment from user #spooky says, "Your story gave me hope that one day my abusive stepfather will get the same fate. So sorry you had to deal with all that growing up. He will die alone and miserable." This comment received 55 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "I'm so sorry for whatever you had to deal with growing up. I just don't understand the kind of mindset an individual has to terrorize a fucking kid. I would kill someone if they ever so much as acted like they were going to hit my daughter." This reply received 26 upvotes. A comment from user an anonymous user says, "Raise your hands if you think that the dickhead stepfather still thinks he was in the right and shouldn't be treated this way. Paper." This comment received 286 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Oh, he does, ha ha ha. He actually called my older sister asking her to bail him out of jail when his son hung up on him after he asked him. In court he tried to talk over the judge. I'm only shut up when they threaten him with contempt of court. He completely lied about the whole incident to his lawyer, which is the only reason they took the case, and after speaking with my lawyer and reviewing the evidence, his lawyer told him to either take the plea deal, for he was going to end up with 3 convictions instead of 1. He blocked me on social media but was posting rants about the whole situation on Facebook, and everyone who told him he was in the wrong or even suggested that maybe he shouldn't have tried to hit me and should have tried to take legal action against me got cursed out. This reply received 239 upvotes. A comment from user Lolprint says, "I'm sorry to hear about your mother, but huge kudos to getting back at this asshole." This comment received 30 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Thank you. We had a difficult relationship, and there was resentment for what she put me through, but I loved her very much. I miss her, but she was in a lot of pain, and I feel terrible for saying this, but it was a relief to see her suffering end." This reply received 25 upvotes. A comment from user the Jackster007 says, "Damn. I'd have bought those wrenches. Were they snap-ons?" This comment received 44 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "Yep, I actually sold them for much less than they are worth, because I plan on mentioning how much I got for them just to rub it in even more, ha ha ha." This reply received 85 upvotes. A comment from user Actual Tumor says, "Bruh." This comment received 50 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "In before you, bruh_bot." This reply received 46 upvotes. A comment from user Adam1 says, "I agree, and he definitely deserves this treatment forever. But I wonder if it wouldn't be better for your own state of mind to now let it go. It's always better to let bitterness dissolve than to hold onto it. It might not be realized at the time, but it can eat away at you, even if it's entirely justified. Enjoy getting on with your life and your family, I say, and wait until he dies to piss on his grave, for that one last, sweet goodbye." This comment received 131 upvotes. A reply from the original author Kveldson says, "I mean, I definitely understand where you're coming from, but this man literally told me I should in my own life when I was a depressed teenager. I don't believe in life after death, so I'm trying to ensure he gets his punishment before he dies." After he lost his job and ended up moving into the trailer, he drunkenly called his son and threatened to shoot him if he didn't help him, and his son took out a restraining order, and the last I heard from him, he is debating whether or not he should press charges for communicating threats. This reply received 164 upvotes.